Hey everybody, welcome to this special edition of PPN Nascar Now. Well, I've been watching this guy on YouTube by the name of Jesse King. He does a lot of NASCAR videos, and I found these two videos that I wanted to play for y'all and let y'all hear. The first one is the top 10 most anticipated races of 2021.
We are currently 29 days away from the first competitive NASCAR race of 2021 with the Busch Clash at the Daytona Road Course. And with the impending season, many are marking their plans for which races to go to and marking their calendars for what races they absolutely need to watch on TV. Today I'll be looking at the 10 races for this season in NASCAR's top 3 National Touring Series that we will all not be able to wait to see, whether they're going to be good or craptastic. So, let's start it up. At number 10, we have the Road America races on the 4th of July weekend. Road America has been a track that fans have practically begged for about a decade to be added to the Cup Series schedule. Now, not only will Road America host a Cup race, but it will be a triple header weekend for the 4th of July weekend. And this race will be the first race on Big NBC for the 2021 season. With the history of Road America's great racing in the lower series, this has the potential to be one of the best races in the Cup Series schedule all year. With it being only about 2 hours north of me, you can bet your ass I'm going to be there, decked out in red, white, and blue. At number 9, we're going to stay with the road courses. This time, we're looking at the Indy Road Course. This was used last year for the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and it was a roaring success. This year, it will be moved up to the Big Boys division, replacing the Oval. After decades of subpar racing with the Cup Series, a breath of fresh air has now been pumped into the NASCAR Indianapolis race weekend. This will also be the first doubleheader for both NASCAR Cup Series racing and IndyCar racing. This will be a weekend that most racing fans will love. At number 8, there's the Daytona Duels. The duels at Daytona have been relatively forgettable for about the past half-decade, with no real repercussions for the actions done in them. While they've always set the starting grid for the Daytona 500, the allure to them has been who gets into the 500 versus who has to go home. Well, this year, it looks like there's going to be a much larger entry list for the Daytona 500, some estimates being between 45 and 48 cars entered. If this is true, there could be 5 to 8 cars going home on Thursday before the 500. Common theme in the first half of this list has been road courses. And at number 7, we have a good one, with the races at the Charlotte Roval. Every Cup race at the Roval has been a banger.
Truex this time right up to the rear bumper. He's going to dive to the inside. The crowd is cheering. Jimmy Johnson right to the right rear. Make that the left rear of Truex, but Truex maintains the lead back up onto the oval.
Say to Denny Hamlin and Tony Stewart at Sonoma a couple of years ago. Jimmy Johnson trying to narrow that gap. 2 car lengths as they go to the bottom of the racetrack in the middle of the bank in turns 9 and 10. Off 10. 1 car length lane for Martin Truex Jr.
Truex down the backstretch now. He'll have to face the turn to the left. He'll get it done. Johnson now right on his tail. They both accelerate up into turn 13. Jimmy Johnson now pulls to the bumper. He's going to try to make a move on Truex. He's only a half a car length back.
Jimmy Johnson looks to the inside of Martin Truex Jr. They dive into the chicane. They touch. Jimmy Johnson spins. Martin Truex Jr. gets hit by Johnson. They are both spun out. Here comes Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney will survive and win the Bank of America Roval 400.
Perfect place to do your burnout. Right where you crashed earlier on a restart. He'll burn it down. This victory fueled by Sunoco. Fuel your best. Well, if you can't laugh at yourself, look at that. He's out of the car. And there goes the car.
Oh, no.
These two moments have really punctuated the Roval for many fans, and the second one really adds on to what many other fans anticipate about this race. Most popular driver Chase Elliott is really damn good there and is probably going to win. Number 6 is the triple header weekend at COTA, aka Circuit of the Americas. COTA has been a track that I personally have really pushed to have on the Cup schedule for a long time now. Being one of the most technologically advanced racetracks in all of NASCAR, it's a step up from most facilities. The course itself has many passing zones and simultaneously is a very fast track. In a lot of ways, This is like Austin, Texas's version of a track like Road America. Set up in the middle of May in Texas, it means that the race is probably going to have tons of fans in attendance in person. At number 5, we have our only standalone truck race in this list. The race at Knoxville in Iowa this July. Ever since the mid-2010s, the Truck Series has had at least one dirt race a year at Eldora Speedway. Well, with Eldora being off the truck schedule, this left the true successor to the Mud Summer Classic being Knoxville. And while the trucks will race on the dirt at Bristol, this really is the only true dirt track race on the schedule. I think this race will be much more clean than the truck race at Dirt Bristol. I'd expect it to be more competitive as well. And who knows? This may be the first NASCAR Touring Series victory for Hailie Deegan. It will definitely be an intriguing event. At number 4, we have our last road course on this list. The race is at Watkins Glen. Simply for the fact that we're actually going to have racing at Watkins Glen again. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo decreed to not allow NASCAR to race in New York State. While the 2018 and 2019 races weren't that great, they did leave a good taste in the mouths of NASCAR fans as Chase Elliott won the Cup races. Now, not only will the Cup Series be there racing, but also the Xfinity and Truck Series will race at the Glen as well. While possibly not having the greatest racing in 2019, at the road courses at least, they are using the 750 horsepower package at this race, so it should be pretty good. I'm just thankful that they'll actually be back at the New York facility though. Entering the podium, we have one of the super speedway races, the NASCAR Cup Series regular season finale at Daytona. Last year, we had the first regular season finale at Daytona, and it didn't fail to disappoint for most. While traditionalist fans like myself were not happy with the fact that it moved away from the 4th of July weekend that traditionally it was on, those heavily invested in the playoff battles and who would be in or out of the playoffs were both in heaven and nervous as hell. Add to this that we had a first-time winner with the young William Byron piloting the 24 home in 2020, and you have a picture-perfect way to start off the new tradition. What I really like about this for 2021 is where it is on the schedule. Not for the bubble battles, but instead for the fan access. Florida is wide open right now, and the race being set in August final weekend may be able to see our first full capacity crowd in NASCAR since at least 2 years. 7.5 months is a long time, and a lot could change. So let's just hope that the change is for the best and there isn't a hurricane that weekend. Taking the runner-up spot on this list, we have the aforementioned Dirt Bristol race. I'm not saying whether it's going to be good or bad. I'm not saying whether the weekend is going to produce a first-time winner or not. I'm not saying who is even going to win or not. What I will say is that whichever side you are on about this race, about whatever argument there is with this race, people are talking about it, and they want to watch it in some way or another. Whether to watch a good race or to watch an absolute shit show, you're up on your own for that one. This will be the first time in decades that the Cup cars will be racing on dirt. So it is a huge historical moment for NASCAR, whether you like it or not. I have to admit that I'm a little torn on this. If this race works, we may lose one of the traditional Bristol races. If the race fails to connect with fans, then there is no quick fix to the spring Bristol fall that it's been having, and I don't know, we might lose a Bristol race. Yet, I'm still intrigued with the race, I still will watch, and I can't wait. And for the top pick, for the most anticipated race of the 2021 NASCAR season, I'm picking the Daytona 500. I know this one isn't original, but after how 2020 went, the Great American Race will be a welcome event for race fans, and really people that want to get away from all this in general. The Super Speedway package is racy as ever, and as long as the drivers don't go overboard with pointless aggression, it should be a fun race to watch. Plus, it can be the start of NASCAR's path back to a more normal existence. It also marks the start of Gen 6's final season as NASCAR's main car for Cup. And in my opinion, for many, this race signifies a new beginning, as for many, this year has already been very tumultuous. And I'll say, as someone going to the Daytona 500 this February in a few weeks, it literally is what I look forward to most in the opening 5 months of this year. And with that, I'm going to pass this on to you. What races are you most looking forward to
Next
in
up is
2021? Let me know
21
in the comments below.
predictions for
While you're at it,
2021
leave a like on
by
this video,
Jesse King.
share this video, and subscribe. With the new year rolling in, many of us are wanting to look forward to hopefully a better time in 2021. But with it being mostly still ahead of us, all we can do now is guess and predict what's to come. So that's what I'm going to do today. Look at 21 of my NASCAR predictions for 2021. Starting off, let's look at the playoff prediction. I think that Bubba Wallace and his number 2311 racing team will qualify for the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. In 2020, Bubba outran his equipment multiple times. Races like Michigan really come to my mind, where he's running in the top 5 at the 20th place car. Now, he has basically a 5th JGR car, much better than a Petty car, even if it is the 5th wheel. With his overall skill as well as how well he can run at super speedways, his chances are higher than most people think to excel in 2021. As for another breaking through, we have to go down and look at the NASCAR Xfinity Series. For years now, Ryan Sieg has slowly been improving the performance of his career. For years, he would squeak out a top 10 or maybe 2 a year, having an average finish of 18th to 21st. In 2019, he took a jump up, scoring a few top 5s, and in 2020, he really rose up with 7 top 5s and 11 top 10s. And it's not like those were runs at super speedways or just fuel mileage runs. They were straight up good runs. I think 2021 will be the year that he breaks through and gets his first career victory. Now, a less positive prediction for me will be that the 550 package is gonna suck, especially if major changes aren't made. I've been pretty bearish on my view of this package since it came out in 2019, but 2020 proved to me just how bad it really is. And having more experience with this, the teams now know what to key in on, so I really don't see it holding some great treasure trove of competition. With that being said though, I do think it will produce at least one good race or one good moment that stands out from the rest of the absolute crap. Look at the Spring Kansas race in 2019, or the 2020 Kentucky finish. Those are your references to what I'm talking about. This package will be disliked and controversial even, but I think that one race will be so much more controversial among fans than this. This being Bristol Dirt. NASCAR fans will always be sure of one thing, that they're never sure of one thing. So, when you mess with a track that's as beloved as Bristol, don't expect the fans to be singing a bunch of praises. I think that Dirt Bristol will be the most controversial Cup race and the most divisive Cup race since the 2015 Chase Talladega race. Yeah, I think it'll be that bad among fans. Now, another controversial prediction I have is that there's going to be at least one outside-the-box driver that makes the Final Four in Cup. There has been a pretty small group of drivers that has made the Cup Final Four over the last couple years, but I think in 2021, we're going to have at least one new member of that group. There are a few drivers that come to mind for me. Ryan Blaney is on the brink of breaking through for a while, so maybe him. Alex Bowman was red hot at the end of last season and may take it up another step in 2021. And hell, why not throw in Kyle Larson? He has something to prove and he has talent, so let's not count him out. One of these three may break through to a new level, or it might be someone that we're not even thinking of right now. On another positive, competitive note, I think that Tyler Reddick will be consistently competitive. While I don't see Tyler Reddick being a championship contender, I do think he's only a year or two away. While the results don't completely show it, Reddick has been very competitive and outran every other 2020 rookie by a lot. I think that Reddick will be a borderline top 10 driver next year, kind of like what Kurt Busch or Ryan Blaney is right now. And also, he's going to get at least one victory. Speaking of young drivers scoring wins, I think that Chase Elliott, our defending champion, will be scoring 5 or more wins in 2021. The defending champion has red-hot momentum on his hands, and there's no reason to think that he would just slow down all of a sudden this upcoming season. With tons of road courses being added to the schedule and Chevrolet's new engine being used full-time next year, which, by the way, is the one he used to dominate at Phoenix, I think that there's no reason to see why 5 wins or more is unattainable. So buckle up, NASCAR fans, because your boy is going to go off. Speaking of Chevrolet, they will dominate the coming year. So I explained the engine basically powering Chevy's potential dominance, but how about the drivers? Well, you have the aforementioned Chase Elliott. Then you also have Alex Bowman, who's the second hottest driver behind Elliott. Kyle Larson, a driver with buttloads of talent, has returned and could potentially add to this as well. Then there's Kurt Busch, who is always consistent and really underrated overall. Ross Chastain, a driver who almost always exceeds his equipment, is now in the 42 car. RCR is also improving with both Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick, who have shown flashes of greatness in the last year. Chevy is the most primed to win this year that it has been since 2014 or 2015. An entity that is not primed to succeed right now, though, is ARCA. I think ARCA is on a bad path right now in its current format. What helped the series recently, whether under the ARCA label or the K&N label, was the star power of Hailie Deegan. But with her star power gone now in trucks, not many eyeballs are going to stick around. They're going to go to trucks with her. So unless there is some star out there that's coming up, I really see that they're going to have to be in real talks about reforming how ARCA is right now. Staying down in the lower series, let's go mudding in the truck series. While Dirt Bristol is very controversial, the truck race at Knoxville is one that's highly anticipated. Set in the middle of the summer on a Friday night, this race is a spiritual continuation of the Eldora Mud Summer Classic, and seeing how it's at such a significant dirt track, I see this being an instant classic. And speaking of classics, I think we're going to see at least one all-time great NASCAR moment in 2021. There's no real rhyme or reason to this one. There's no statistics. There's just merely my intuition and opinion to why I think this will happen. I just think it will. We'll get one last great moment before the Gen 6 is out. Now back to one that has a little actual data behind it. Kyle Busch is going to have a bounce-back season. Last year, Busch had the least amount of wins in a season in his career, just one at Texas in the 34th race of the year. But this is far out of the ordinary. The last time he had a season like this in any capacity was 2014, and until 2020, he was one of the best drivers, or the best driver of every season, 2015 to 2020 that is. And other all-time greats have had off seasons during their runs of dominance. Just look at Dale Earnhardt in 1992. So I think Kyle Busch will be just fine and score at least 3 victories next year. Now, another driver who struggled in 2020 was the aforementioned Hailie Deegan. Seeing how she's moving up to the truck series, the goalposts of expectations will move as well. While she's not expected to set the world on fire, she is expected to be competitive in some capacity. But I think that she will not be within the normal lines of expectations in her performance. I think she's going to surprise. Whether that's for the good or the bad is up to you to decide. Speaking of the truck series, I think it will regain the title of being the best series in NASCAR amongst fans. Last year, many said the Xfinity was the best series, and it's pretty hard to argue. But with fun drivers like Chase Briscoe and Ross Chastain moving to Cup, the competition level is inevitably going to be moving downward this year. Plus, the truck series is always great, so there really isn't going to be any change in that next year, I don't think. Another success in the 2021 season will be the triple header at COTA. I've been on the NASCAR COTA bandwagon for years now, and I think that next year it's going to pay off. With how good most of NASCAR's road course races have been, there isn't too much to say that the racing wouldn't be really fun to watch and wouldn't be a success. So watch out for that COTA weekend next year. Now, on a more downward note, I think that Aric Almirola is actually going to be the worst performing of the 4 SHR drivers. At the end of 2020, this was the case. And it was due to a downward trend for Almirola, as well as an improvement from Cole Custer. I think that in 2020, Custer will continue to improve. Briscoe will be a solid rookie and better than expectations for a lot of people, and Kevin Harvick will be Kevin Harvick. This leaves Almirola, who I think is going to regress back to the mean. This will also be interesting for Almirola's career prospects moving forward and what contracts come up. A more mixed prediction that I have is that NASCAR's viewership will mostly go up in 2021. For about the last 3 years, NASCAR's viewership has really stabilized, and this is a huge step up from the hemorrhaging of viewers from 2005 to 2017. And I think this continues next year. NASCAR's opening 25 to 30 races have either been flat or up in the last 2 years, and studies have shown that younger generations are starting to take the sport on better. Where the issues come into play is the last month of the season, where viewership has tanked off of a cliff in the last couple years. And this is due to both the NFL being in full swing and the disconnect that the current playoff system has with fans. If this comes true again, NASCAR may need to start making some major changes again. Back to the positives. I think that there will be a ton of parity in Cup in 2021. My prediction is that there will be at least 16 or more drivers winning next year. With more teams seeming to rise in performance at the end of 2020 and better teams cooling off in that time, and young drivers also coming into their own, the pieces are in place for tons of parity. Parity we haven't seen in at least a decade. Indirectly, this means I'm also predicting more first-time winners as well. This will also make for a crazier playoff grid. In the playoffs, though, I think once again many fans will end up furious at the Cup champion. This is because I think that the best driver all season, once again, will not win the NASCAR Cup Series title. In 2020, Kevin Harvick had one of the best seasons in 30 years, yet he finished the season with no shot of winning the title. I think that this will happen once again, maybe not to as big a level as Harvick's season, but it will happen again in 2021, where the guy with the best statistical season will lose out. And I can already hear the angry tweeters yelling. Now, let's finish this video off with 2 positive predictions. First off, the NASCAR IndyCar doubleheader at IMS will have a great impact on the racing fans in the area and, in turn, will help attendance. This effect is going to help stabilize the reputation of NASCAR at the track, and this will have huge significance on both series' future and cannot be overlooked at all next year. And for the 21st and final prediction that I have for the upcoming season, I think that we will have a full capacity sellout crowd for the season finale at Phoenix. Now, I might go back on this in November and see this as my dumbest prediction I've ever made on YouTube. So just take that into account, that a lot can change in 10 months. But I'm going to have a bit of a positive bias for the future. With the vaccine rolling out over time and the current predictions having over 1 billion vaccinations by the start or middle of the summer, it's not out of the question to have a full finale crowd. Add to this that Arizona is a state that is pretty bullish on reopening, compared to others that is, and I think the factors are coming together into place for a very good finish at the end of the season and at the end of the Gen 6 era. And so, that's it. My 21 predictions for 2021. Now, I want to pass this all on to you. What are your predictions for the 2021 NASCAR season? Let me know down in the comments below. And while you're at it,
thank you guys for listening. I hope y'all enjoyed this as much as I did. And as we sit here today on Thursday, January 14th, we are 1 month, 31 days from the Daytona 500. I hate this Valentine's stuff in stores, but man, it makes me happy knowing that, hey, Valentine's Day is also Daytona 500 Day. Thank you, Jesus. So thank y'all for listening. Have a good day, y'all.